Flagged. Brought to you by us, fans like you, but mostly us.
Well. I didn't think you had it in you.
I'm your huckleberry.
Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.
In a dark corner of the world, three men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, Yo-Peace, and Omega.
Howdy there. This is Two Guns Omega for Fanatically Correct. And I'm here with Yo-PeaceMaker. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're going to be talking Westerns. So enjoy an hour of us talking like this. That would be horrible.
No, it will be. Listen, it will be amazing for you to do it. It will be horrible for anybody listening to me do any accent,
Well,
let alone a Western accent.
You could do like the hillbilly one. Like, I got me the outlaw Josie Wales.
That's what I was trying to go for, and it didn't even sound right. Just put it that way.
You know, those are the original hype men, you know, in Westerns, like the hillbilly guys. Like, hey, what do you say, Paul? Get him. Get him. Like that, those are the original hype men, man.
That's exactly what I try to do.
Are the toothless hillbilly sidekick, the original, the OG hype man. So yeah, no, I'm your host Omega.
This is Yo-Peace.
And yes, unfortunately, MSK, he's caught in a time loop right now. I'm trying to work his way out of that. So we're gonna do something a little different. Just be two of us this time, but he will be back for our next episode, which I think we're planning trailers, right? We're gonna start talking about all the wonderful trailers of all the great stuff.
Yeah, that's our little hopefully goal pretty soon. You know.
So yeah, we're gonna be talking Westerns, and for the most part, we got a great necessity today, and I think we might even zip through our Westerns list as fast as possible, so we can spend most of the time talking about the necessity.
That's all I want to do.
This is pretty much an excuse just to get to that. You know, Gavin, has anybody seen Gavin?
You're all right, girl.
You're all right, girl. So yeah, we'll go into it. We're gonna talk a little bit of television shows. Not like there's a whole lot of them. At least we'll get nerdy on those. And you know, not everyone is overly nerdy about Westerns. I think certain films, no matter what, people love them. I mean, there's just certain Westerns. Probably start with that one because I think that's on both of our lists. We're kind of got like a top 5, and I think anybody's top 5 of Westerns, you're gonna have Tombstone.
Yes, definitely Tombstone.
So I think that's so well done. Like before getting into like, you know, when I say nerd Westerns, I'm talking about like, you know, Westworld on television, you know, Back to the Future 3 and stuff like that. And we'll just brush on those. But yeah, I think Tombstone, like anybody who's watched Westerns, you know, anybody who watches it now who hasn't seen it, it's so well put together. It's not classic spaghetti Western, but it's just definitely like, you know, it's just a stitch in
it's a hype. Man, how can we explain what that is? Because it's not, like you said, it's not spaghetti because it's not going to be as long and boring for some people.
No, it doesn't have that. It doesn't have that dark, you know, Clint Eastwood vibe. It doesn't have that that Howdy campy, what's the, True Grit. Well, that True Grit's actually one of his darker films, but you know, it doesn't have that like that campy, John Wayne, Western feel. It's like
definitely not John Wayne.
Yeah, no, definitely not. That's what I'm saying. But it just has it's dark where it needs to be, but it's like so action packed, and it's like they just like it's almost a caricature. It is like what you would expect from we're gonna get into that later, but like a Western video game because it's such a caricature of what you want from the Wild West. You want
Yes.
one-liners, you want toughness, you
Right.
want what I mean, shootouts. You want all of that, and you get all of it. You get big shootouts, you get one-on-ones, quick draw shootouts. You get fist fights in the bar scene. Like they check off all the necessities of what you want from a Western, and then package it in a way that it's just so fun, fun and entertaining, and great performances.
Just to make be sure on when for the listeners, we're not talking about the TV show. We're talking about the movie Tombstone, because there is a television show back in the days. I think it was called Tombstone Territory.
Oh yeah,
and yeah. Just to make sure, because I think we started with talking about TV. So
yeah,
I just
we're getting some shows.
Yeah,
we're talking about the film Tombstone. We're talking about the story of Wyatt Earp. They that's the other thing they played off. It was a family rivalry. If you watch the Kevin Costner version, Wyatt Earp, also a Western. It has its moments. It's so hard though when it came out around the same time,
Oh man, I had a hard time. Yeah,
you just can't. One is so much more action packed and entertaining,
which I love. Which, by the way, I personally love. But it's day and night.
It is, and that's the thing. Tombstone, that was one of the things that they took liberties with. It's not a dead on biography. They took certain things that are true. Always the OK Corral is always exaggerated in both films. They do it, and if you read the actual story, the OK Corral, it's nothing like either one of those things.
Nothing, absolutely nothing like that.
No, but they always got to blow it up like it's like like it's a big thing, and you want that when you watch this movie. So they took a lot of liberties, and one of the smartest things they did was they made it a family feud, but they made it more of like a gang feud, and by doing the whole thing with the cowboys. And the red sashes, which is a staple, everyone's like, thinks of that now. It's like easy cosplay and stuff. And so it kind of made it, it made it bigger, so you could be more entertained, so you can have the numbers. You need a bunch of red shirts, when you're watching an action movie, you don't want to just see 3 guys versus 3 guys the whole movie, because like you don't get a body count, So they gave you the numbers. They gave you a bunch of red shirts, the red sashes is basically what they gave you.
Yeah.
And you get to see that of like massive shootouts where at least 4 of your heroes are taking out 20 guys. Like these are things you want in an action movie, So, and it was the 90s, Tombstone, early 90s.
Yes, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, so. I want to say like 92.
Yeah.
93,
so you're still coming off the action vibe of the 80s where everyone wants action movies, nonstop shooting, bang bang. And you get that, but the one-liners. I mean, I think Western instantly, just Kurt Russell. I mean, he has the best. You're gonna do something, you just stand there and bleed. Like, skin that smoke wagon, see what happens. So most of that movie was Billy Bob Thornton getting picked on. Like it's like there's nothing better than making a character that's such an a-hole that you just love seeing your heroes bully him. You know what I mean? And it's
right. And Val Kilmer was
that's to this day his best performance.
Amazing in this movie.
Val Kilmer's done other stuff I like, but that is by far his best performance ever. That character is so. I'm your Huckleberry. I mean, come on, that's like
man, those one-liners were amazing.
Yeah, such a quotable film. That is such like we literally could do an hour just talking about Tombstone. We won't, but it's such a quotable film. It's got just the best stuff, and for anybody who hasn't seen Tombstone yet, you're crazy. If you have,
or if you've seen it, go back to it and go watch it again. Go experience it. Go remember what you probably forgotten.
That's one of those movies that it definitely it's a rewatch. Like whenever it's on AMC or Freeform, one of those. Not as often do they play that as they do, like A Few Good Men or Forrest Gump, which are also movies I got to stop and watch if I catch it. But Tombstone, every once in a while when they do it, I think AMC tends to do it every once in a while, maybe FX or TNT, maybe Turner Classics, Paramount. But yeah, it's one of those that if it's on, like, okay, I'm stuck now, I can't change the channel now. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. And that movie, just so many moments that you're always gonna catch it at a moment.
Yeah,
you're always gonna catch like, oh,
moment.
yeah, right now he's about to beat the guy for beating his horse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, right now Doc's about to challenge this drunk guy to a shootout. You know, it's just like it just everything in that movie is just like it's nothing but moment after moment after moment, quotable line after quotable line.
So many great actors in that movie too.
Yeah, it really captures the hero mentality of the Wild West. You know, again, they take certain liberties. You know, Wyatt Earp actually wasn't the best guy. There was a lot of stuff, you know, going on with him and his family, but everyone in that movie. I mean, you had the younger brother was Bill Paxton, right?
Yes, it was. Bill.
He was the youngest in that one. It's hard because I get Wyatt Earp sometimes confused. Yeah. They also had an all-star cast, but yeah, you got Bill Paxton in there. Sam Elliott's awesome.
Sam Elliott, yes, I remember
that guy. Troop cowboy. That guy's not acting. That's him. You know.
That is him. I'm sure. Right now he's doing that.
Drive Ford truck. That guy's awesome.
He's somewhere doing cowboy stuff.
That huge mustache has a life of its own. Like, seriously. Like, I think that that guy defines stash. But yeah, I mean, you got Billy Bob Thornton, you got Powers Booth, you got
Michael Rooker. Remember Michael Rooker was in there?
Yes, Michael Rooker. What you call it from Terminator and Alien, Michael Biehn. You know, he's Ringo.
Michael, that's right.
Johnny Ringo. Dude, I mean, it's like the cast is like, I mean, even Billy Zane. Hey, remember? Hashtag where's Billy? Hashtag where's Billy Zane?
Where's Billy anyway?
Well, he was a Tombstone. You know, like,
Stephen Lang was in this.
Yeah, man, it's loaded. That movie's so loaded. It's
Billy Bob was in this. I mean,
yeah, Billy. No, and it doesn't even look like him. It doesn't. Number one, I don't think I've ever seen him heavy, like overweight, and anything ever. Like, you know, that's the only thing. It's so hard to recognize him almost. You know, because I think Sling Blade, he was wearing like a prosthetic gut or something like that, and even then he wasn't that heavy. For some reasons, like he was like really husky when he did this role, which is perfect because like the character just embodies like. He just physically captures, and emotionally, and like he's such an easy guy to hate. Like he really
always.
He's such an easy character to hate in that movie. So yeah, Tombstone. I mean, it's definitely a staple of like. I don't think anybody can watch Tombstone not like that movie. There's no way.
I mean, I want to say no, but there are people that just don't like westerns, which they're probably going to skip this episode altogether. Well, I'm dangling an Easter, Gavin. Does anybody see? I mean, they're gonna have to skip all the way to the end.
Yeah, to get to the necessity, but trust me, this is just a big excuse. So yeah, Tombstone is definitely on everyone's list. I gotta go just to brush over them. A real fun one for me. If you agree or not, if it makes your list. Tell me, Tombstone's on your list, right? I mean,
yes. I mean,
we could check off. We're kind of have a list of 5, so I think that I have that as second on my list. I don't know where you would put that on yours, but that's definitely my list of 5. I have Maverick on there. I don't think that that's a Western that a lot of people put at the top, and I'm talking about not the show.
No, I know. Yeah.
I'm talking about the film and with Mel Gibson, because I think there was also a for TV movie on the show. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I'm talking about the one that was in cinemas with Mel Gibson that he plays the lead character. Robert Wagner is in it though. He does right. Is it Robert Wagner? That was the original. I might
have been.
If you could check IMDb while I'm running my mouth, just so I don't misinform the 2 people in our audience, or one for that matter. I know my barber's listening to this episode. He's a Westerns buff.
Yeah,
and maybe my uncle. So shout out to you guys.
So for the TV show, it was Jack Kelly.
Okay.
James Garner.
James Garner. That's why I said Robert.
And Roger Moore.
Yep. I meant James Garner.
Yeah.
So he's great, and he's in it too. But Mel Gibson plays the role of actual Maverick because it's decades after the TV show, and it's just another thing. It's just like it's a fun. I have that 5 on my list. But I just bring it up because it's a fun Western. It's not a true Western, where it's like meet me at sundown, and but it has little moments of like those bar fight scenes and stuff like that, but it's just so fun the way Mel Gibson plays the character. Jodie Foster, who like you never seen, especially during that time when she did it in a Western, and it just has like these like moments that are so funny. It's just so silly. It has like a great pace to it. It's and it's just fun. It
is a fun movie. I don't think it's on my top 5, but it is a fun movie to watch. Definitely top 10 for me.
Okay, so it makes the top 10. But yeah, so that's what I have 5th. I'll kind of to give you a moment to define your list. I'll let you go before I get to my number one, but just to get the mentions on my list out of the way.
See, that's where we're gonna have our differences.
Yeah.
Is gonna be on our number ones.
Of course.
I don't want to go 1 through 5 anyways, because that's such a hard list. But I just want to give the number one towards the end of.
Yeah,
I don't know if you want to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna do. I'm just going that the other ones on my top 5. I mean, again, top 10. We have a plethora. I'll throw out some honorable mentions, but film wise, I also have in there the Outlaw Josie Wales. That's just classic Clint Eastwood. I just love that scene where he flips the guns upside down. I mean, that's the scene. We gotta see the Outlaw Josie Wales, and the guy's so excited because he's like turning over his guns, and he just like shoots them from upside down. And it's just another thing. It's another film filled with moments. It's classic Clint Eastwood. You know, he's the dark hero. It's just, you know, for me, it's a staple. There's many Clint Eastwood ones. I mean, they're for me all great. But of the younger Clint Eastwood westerns, for me, that's the one that I just, you know, same thing. If it's on TV, I'll stop, you know, and watch it, and just, you know, that's what it is for me. Outlaw Josie Wales. Also in there, I have, and I wanted to go with a kind of a current one, and it is because it's just so good. And I guess maybe because it's one of the more recent westerns I've watched, it's so high on my list right now. Maybe, you know, we revisit this list 5 years from now, it might be a lot lower.
It might.
I think it'll still be top 10, but it's Hostiles, which I think was out last year, where Christian Bale.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually one of the last films also that Herschel from The Walking Dead is in.
Yes.
Small part, but great part. It's such a different role for him, and again, very small part, but he's great in it. This what is it, Ben Foster is that actor's name? That he's like, I think he's been doing a few sneaking into Western roles, but he's great in it too. I mean, he you know has like, you know, he's I don't want to say a villain, but you know, it's hard because that's what the film's about. It's really about redemption of characters, people who are once villains that, you know, are redeemed and are now heroes. And it has a basic story of the relationship between two rivals, you know, a Native American and a Union soldier. And the base story is he's, you know, got to basically get this tribe that he was feuding with when he was much younger back to their land out of a deal that was made with the government.
Yeah, that film, like when I saw it, it's different. It's different, and it's not. I don't want to say it's not your typical Western.
No,
it's not a typical Western.
It's what I'll bring up with that film, and I think it's one of the things when we're gonna get to our necessity and people who already know our necessity with some of the Easter eggs and hints I'm dropping. That's one of the things it has. It shows like the bad stuff about the Wild West of just being out there, like the things that can happen, and that's really what it gets into. Is like every time you think like, oh, you know, they just can't catch a break, and it's like, well, these are the things that happen. You know what I mean? Like if you're out there in the wilderness, like there's no 911. You know what I mean? There's no calling the cops, and like these are the things that happen. You know, other, you know, native tribes might have gotten you, other posses might have gotten you, outlaws, just guys, you know, ranting on, you know, on their own in the middle of the night, steal one of your women. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's like it had like. It shows that of, you know, and it's like where it's Hostiles. It's almost like describing the characters, you know, that they're hostile to one another, but it's almost just like a land of hostiles, and you know they're going through rough terrain, and it's just like it just covers, you know, some great storyline and some, you know, dark moments. So it's a darker film to watch. That's for sure.
It is, especially when it came down to the Native American side of it, where what they pretty much were going through type of deal. And it goes more into it goes more into what human nature is, like just how we are.
It's definitely a dramatic piece Western, because it really gets into character development.
It's kind of messed up.
It is because again, there's really no heroes in it, but really no villains either. Everyone has their point, you know what I mean?
Right.
This is what's happening to my people, or this is what your people are doing to my people.
Right.
This is my land. You know what I mean? Like, you know, this is my land, and I'm talking for different characters. Like that's the Herschel character. That's a whole land situation that you just like. you see it come and you're like, I can't believe this is happening. You know what I mean? It's like, but you understood the mentality of then of, you know, what it was.
Why? Yeah, what it was.
You know, but then you got to see the mentality of the people who had that land before, and you know what their attachment would be to it. You know, it's like, so I mean, it's just great. It really is, you know, a great active film. And this guy's in it who's like, he always plays like the main Native American in every Western film because he's such a great actor. I can't remember the actor's name now, but he's like in everything. He was Mogwai and
it's West
and Geronimo. I mean, he's just great. And
West,
you know,
West study.
Yeah, I can't pronounce that. I'm not going to try and insult him.
But it's him, right? Is that guy?
I believe so.
Yeah, he was in Geronimo.
Yeah, Geronimo. He played Geronimo, and that's what I'm saying. Like he's able to get, and now he's at a you know point in his life where he could play that character perfectly. You know, the character he plays perfectly. He's aged into it. You know, it's excellent. And then Christian Bale always puts on a great performance. You know, what's that one? Yuma? Why one? No, that's
310.
310 to Yuma. No, that's Russell Crowe.
No, that's
Russell Crowe.
And
Christian Bale.
And Christian Bale. Yep.
That's right. Yep. Yeah, he's good in Westerns too, which is funny because there's certain actors you don't see them in Westerns till you see them in the Western.
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's not on my list, but Magnificent Seven. You know, I wasn't like what you call it, Chris Pratt, Ethan Hawke. Like it worked for me. You know what I mean?
It worked. You know what? I was in the same boat. Because I love Magnificent 8.
Yes.
And
you know, you mean Magnificent Seven. They're both Magnificent Seven.
Seven.
Yeah. Hateful Eight. Ridiculous 6. Yeah, they always got a number.
Magnificent 7, like the original one.
The originals are fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. But the new one actually works, man. It's not bad, and it actually works. In my eyes, it was not a bad remake. It was not a bad remake. Because there are bad remakes.
They went after kind of like what Tombstone went at. I mean, I just don't think that the story is as appealing as Tombstone was.
Right.
But it's the same concept. They made it fun. You know what I mean? It has its dramatic moments, but they made it fun. And like Ethan Hawke and, you know, Chris Pratt. I mean, Denzel, I did expect him. Denzel can play anything. So I did expect him to be fine in a Western. But you know, the rest of that cast, like half of them, I was like, what, really, in a Western? And, you know, the way it was made, like, yeah, you know, you see it and it works and it's a fun film. You know, that's not at all on my list. Don't get me wrong. It's a good movie. It's worth watching, but it's not like, you know, a staple Western. But I'm just bringing that up for the sake of, you know, talking about.
But the original one is top 10 for me, man.
Yes. Yeah. No, the original Magnificent Seven is in my top 10. And then the remake is, you know, probably my top 20. And that's not such a high number because there's a lot of Westerns.
So much.
A lot of
There's a lot of Westerns. There's Westerns I have not seen. And I'm not, it's just, it probably won't catch my eye. Probably, whatever it is, there's a lot of Westerns out there. Too many.
So many. Yeah. And the thing is that actually lately, it's not the spaghetti Western. So it's really hard to almost compare the two genres. So we're just talking Westerns in general, you know, and that's why it will be ridiculous. And, you know, I'll take a quick break just to get a bit nerdy, only because there's, to me, certain films and shows and like that they're not really Westerns because they're sci-fi, but they do pay a decent enough respect to the Western, and some of them really good. And I'll just give an example. Westworld, we talked about that show several times on this show, and the Western part is excellent. It
is.
And now specifically season 1, season 2, we're on season 2.
We're going to season 3 now.
We're going to season 3. Season 2, the sci-fi and the Wild West mixed a lot more. So it's hard to call it a Western anymore. It still is.
Well, but it kind of is, because even with the sci-fi going into it, you still have the feeling of a Western. So
yes. Well,
there's a lot of the storyline. The storyline is still there.
Yes. Well, what I'm saying is that, it's specifically, and that's what still makes a Western. So many of the characters are developed from the Western part, you know, the West world of the show, that's their personality. You know, they are Wild West personalities, and it's, you know, and it's so gimmicky, you know, not in a negative way, but the world was purposely made for people to feel like they're in the Wild West. So all the characters are over the top, almost personality of the Wild West, because that's the experience you're paying for. Nobody wants to go to a Wild West, even though they have that. They just don't focus that in the show. But, you know, nobody wants to go to Wild West town like, oh yeah, and that's all I'm going to do all day is farm. You know what I mean? Like no,
Yeah.
I want to get to shoot out. I want to fist fight. I want to ride horses. I want to lasso. So it has a lot of them are, bandits and then when, especially season 2, when you get into the fight. Yeah. Oh God, that's drag. That's it's a good movie though. If you've never seen it, it's worth watching once.
Movie.
You just got to be wide awake. I mean, wide awake. On Red Bull and coffee.
You just woke up. Yeah, like you just woke up and you're starting to pound your Red Bulls. Like yes. That's what that type of. Yeah.
Because it's a great story. I mean, if you want to see the Avatar original, if you want to see what Avatar is completely based on, you got to see Dance with Wolves. But that's unfortunately for me. Outside of Open Range with Kevin Costner is a pretty good one. That's one with Robert Duvall that doesn't drag like that. I mean, since you brought up Dance with Wolves, I'll sidetrack for a second and get back to my point on Westworld. But for the most part, Kevin Costner westerns are because even Wyatt Earp, when you compare it to Tombstone, it's like, how does he make 3-hour movies feel like 5-hour movies? It's like it's hard, but they're all worth watching.
I enjoyed them. But see, that's where we split. When we come to, and I know you enjoy it as well. I'm saying like people that actually start watching westerns. There's gonna be people that just love this type of a certain type, and then there's that spaghetti feel to it where it's dragging, man. It's dragging.
Well, back to the original track, and then we'll hit the list real quick. Is with Westworld that it's like it's a sci-fi, but yes, they do a great job of entertaining with the Wild West that you can, in my opinion, call it a Western. I think Back to the Future 3 is a stretch because, it's just pure comedy of a Western, almost like, what is that, A Million Ways to Die in the West? Which is great. That movie's hilarious. That's hilarious. Blazing Saddles, hilarious. But it's such a caricature of a Western that it's not, a Western. It takes place during the West.
Right.
But it's the personality of it is not at all Western. That's the joke. They're kind of saying like during these times, what if we had these personalities, which is what Back to the Future 3 does. I mean, it's not a standalone film; it's feeding off a sci-fi story from the 2 previous films. But it is, doing the same thing where it's like, okay, Marty, a kid from the 80s, is now in the Wild West. Doc, way too smart for this time in the West. And then you make all the other characters like complete staple, gimmicky characters from the genre, almost like we were talking about earlier, but the hillbilly, like, get him, Paul. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's basically what Biff is.
That's my wife's favorite Western. And Back to the Future 3. But that's because she's pretty much has not paid attention to any other westerns in her life.
Everything else is too boring. Yeah. So I was surprised with what is it, Cowboys and Aliens?
Cowboys and Aliens.
I was actually surprised that the western part of it was actually pretty good. Like it was, especially I didn't think, Daniel Craig, James. I mean, he wasn't on yet when he did that, but everything else I saw him in Layer Cake. He's a British actor. I saw him in Guy Ritchie films. I'm like, this guy is going to be an American cowboy, and then Harrison Ford, long in the tooth, where he was ashore, and for me it worked. I mean, again,
here's the thing. For me, I was let down, bro, and not because that part, because the western part, like you said, it worked, but I was let down because my aliens and my western didn't mix as right. It didn't mix as well as I thought it was gonna mix. That was just my
I think that might be why it didn't mix. I think that they tried to Westworld, and that is where it failed. Like they couldn't, like they should have been more. And you like this movie? I'm not the biggest fan, and MSK, if you were here, he's gonna hate on it. Wild Wild West, with Will Smith, which is the reason Will Smith didn't do The Matrix. Anyways,
I know, pretty much.
But which kind of works. Even Will Smith says that that's he's happy because we wouldn't have gotten.
He actually said you're welcome,
and he pretty much took credit. He took credit for the he found a way to take credit for doing.
He took credit for that, man. That's crazy.
Val Kilmer was supposed to be Morpheus. So he's a pretty Doc Holiday, but no. It's come on, Morpheus is Morpheus.
Morpheus is Morpheus. That's it.
Yeah, this is not happening. But so we were saying Cowboys and Aliens. Yeah, I think that it should have been more of a fun Western,
Yes.
more High Noon,
Yes.
more Wild Wild West, more
Right.
even Maverick for that matter.
No, less Wild Wild West for the people, but more, I see what you mean. Like the
the fun part. The fun part. Almost Men in Black, Wild West, like would have been what would have worked for that genre of film. But by actually getting kind of serious on the Western part, and then all of a sudden, it's aliens, I think the marriage didn't work. And that's why it's not, a big movie and a very talked about, followed franchise or anything like that. Well, I'm gonna just to finish my list, so then we can kind of like get into it. My number one will always be, and no matter what I see, and I see great Western movies, but it's just I don't know why, it's just the perfect Western for me is Unforgiven.
Okay,
that's my number one. Did that make your top 5 at all? Or I mean,
yes, Unforgiven is definitely my top 5.
That's for me my number one. Gene Hackman is the ultimate villain in that film.
Yeah.
And his moments are incredible. It also has those great one-liners. I mean, when he comes out of the bar and it's like, it's like you shot the bartender. He was unarmed. He's like, well, he should have armed himself. He's in a decorated establishment with my friend. You know what I mean? Like it just has these great, lines in it that I always look for in a Western. But the overall story was unique. It's you have old school bandits that pretty much aged out of the life. They're getting paid by some prostitutes to get justice because the local sheriff is not giving justice for, what was done to a local prostitute in the brothel. You have, gunslingers coming in there, and then the sheriff's like, oh, because they're like, this is gold. They're offering this big reward justice. So you have other gunslingers coming in there too, and they're butting heads, with this sheriff who, before he was a sheriff, was a bandit gunslinger himself. You know what I mean? He's not the best character, which is actually something that happened a lot in real West, in the real Wild West, the Pinkertons, even in Wyatt Earp and all of them. You had, a feuding family, and ones were being, deputized by the local town, while other ones were being martialized by the federal marshals. Like they're people with badges fighting each other. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's insane. Like they, these things did actually occur, not to a large number, but enough that it's worth making a story about that. And so you have that. You had guys who under assumed names before, and a lot of Westerns do that story too, where the guy has a past, and so they kind of get into that, and they show what the character development is great in that film. The shootouts, there's not many of them, and that's what's clever about it. It's still the spaghetti Western, or the classic Clint Eastwood Eastwood Western, where the shootouts mean something. It's not just bang bang for no reason. It's not an action film. It's a dramatic Western, and that's just a film that it just does it for me. I want anybody who has not seen Unforgiven, see it. It's a Western, so it holds up. Obviously, you're not holding it to today's standards of time or technology or anything like that, so you're fine. And if you've seen it, it's always worth a rewatch. That's a movie too I've seen more times than I can count, because it's just it's a great film. It's a great film, and that's by far my favorite Western. I think it always will be. Even though a lot of great Westerns come out, and I even see older ones that I've never seen before that are great. Yeah. I just can't, I can't beat it. I mean, that's my favorite Western of all time is Unforgiven.
Nice. That's a great number one. Like, and I see why. I mean, that movie is hands down. It's like a mix of both worlds to me. It's just it gets it right, man. Like it kind of almost gets the what a Western should be right. It's a great movie though to watch. I don't know, man. I think this list has been so hard for me. I was thinking about it so much. Like, I don't want to give you my top 5 because we got pretty much a similar list. You and I, I mean, almost a similar list, but then I deviate a lot when it comes to these things.
Well, it's hard. The Western is one of those genres, and it's I think there's a lot of genres that happens in overall, because even if you do like superhero films, I mean, we're not going to get into it. I'm just saying that if you do specifically MCU or specifically DC or specifically adaptation like Kingsman or something like that, then you can get a little bit more specific and be more consistent with what your top 3 or top 5 will always be. But if you just say superhero films, like depends on how I'm feeling that year. You know what I mean? Like I can really move around to like a darker one or to a brighter one. So westerns is definitely, like war films, same thing. Usually, you'll have a top 3, but sometimes you rotate between them depending on which one you've seen the most recent or what recent film reminded you of that. And westerns the same thing. I think for me, I'm pretty consistent with Unforgiven, but like I said, the rest of them, depending on when you ask me, I can easily switch out Hostiles with a different one, Maverick with a different one.
Yep.
Outlaw Justice. I mean, I have 20 Clint Eastwood ones, a bunch. I mean, I personally didn't even put a John Wayne on here, but I did. I enjoyed True Grit. The reboot of True Grit is fantastic.
The reboot is actually amazing. I personally, and not for anything, people really love John Wayne. I'm not a big fan of John Wayne. And it's weird. It's very weird because
that's totally fine, man. That's not our era. You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah.
He's not. I don't see him that way either. I don't be like, oh, John Wayne's really good. I liked some of his movies. I don't think every Wayne movie is a good movie. I don't think John Wayne was a great actor. I think for the time he was. So if you're from that era, you're like, John Wayne's the bomb. I mean,
and I apologize because it's just not my thing. It just never worked for me. He never worked for me.
But I'll tell you, like I almost was about to say right now, is that I can understand maybe 30 years from now, people say, hey, Leonardo DiCaprio wasn't that good of an actor. I don't know. People will just find, who knows how evolved the industries will become another 30 years from now, 50 years from now. So it's the same thing. So I just to give fairness to that, like, I don't think you have to feel bad about that. I don't think there's going to be too many listeners on this card like, you hated John Wayne.
They're out there. They're out there. Yeah. I'm telling you, we're probably gonna get a lot of hate mail.
Yeah. Meet me at the belt. Meet me down the street at noon, partner.
So I'm gonna give you my top 5 as fast as I can. That way we can just move on to the rest to the rest. So for my number 5, and again, this is exactly how it is. This is how I've felt so far. Not a true Western, but man, it actually worked, which was Hateful Eight is on my top 5.
I love it. I love that film.
Okay.
I love that film.
It's not a true Western. Let's just start by that. It's
Tarantino. He doesn't.
It's Tarantino. It's not true. Not true to it. But man, I feel like he got so much of that world right for me.
He got Western personality.
It's there. It's there. And the movie's so much fun and so
vulgar.
It's so Tarantino that I can see why it was it got what it deserved,
The praise that it deserved.
The praise that it got deserved. Yeah. So that's my top 5 right now. That's actually my number 5. Number 4, I have the original Magnificent Seven.
Great film.
I love that film. Like I said, I don't want to go back to talk about Magnificent Seven, but if you've never seen it, go watch the original one. And then, like I said, the new one is not bad.
Yeah, it holds up.
It holds up and it's good. It worked for what it was. My number 3 is Tombstone. I have Tombstone as my number 3. Number 2 is your number 1, which is Unforgiven.
Oh, thank you.
That's your number 1.
Yeah, wow.
And no, trust me. Like I get it, man. Like I can watch that movie and it's a movie that it works. It works.
You just dive in and just watch it, just disappear into that world.
Yeah. So, but my number 1, this is where we get crazy. My number 1 film of all time. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. In fact, it's one of those movies that I'll admit it. I've fallen asleep on it a bunch of times. Here's why. But here's why though. I've seen this movie so many times that it's almost like you staring at the back of your hand for a couple of hours. Like, what would you feel like if you stare at the back of your head for a couple of hours?
The assassination of Jesse James by the cow. I fall asleep just reading the title.
No, it's definitely not that. But it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, man.
That's on my top 10, and that's a wild. I mean, I was whistling that at the beginning though.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's just
that movie. I've seen it. Like I said, I've seen that movie so many times. In fact, I can recall that that's probably the first Western that I actually kind of took in as it's my first memory of a Western. Put it that way.
That that's mine too. I think that was the very first Western I watched all the way through.
Yeah.
I watched it with my grandfather when I was a little kid. I mean, like 7 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
And same thing. I think that might be the staple of, people who grew up in that Western era. And show their kids a Western for the first time. I think they do go like, you got to start with good, the bad. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna personally thank you, Yo-Peace. I just realized in my head, if that hadn't made your number one, and somehow we would have done this episode.
Well, I think
good, the bad, and ugly. It would have been bad.
Yeah, I think there would have been guys outside our doors with horses, just waiting for us. I think the Cowboys would have definitely came after us. I don't know.
We're about to get tied up. We're about to get tied up and get hung.
So yeah, man. It's again that movie. Just to let the viewers know, that movie is actually a trilogy. It's a fistful of dollars,
a few dollars more,
for a few dollars more. And then the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I'm not sure I don't remember how it actually works. Because I think one is a sequel, one is a prequel. Yeah. It's but man, the good, the bad, and the ugly is by far my favorite Western of all time. And I admit it. I'm falling asleep watching it because it's just I've seen it so many times that I will wake up and I'll be like, oh, I'm still here. Okay, good. I love this movie.
Yeah,
that's why.
And it's almost a play on like. Because there's really no good, and I think it's more, and that's what's clever about it. It's a play on the different versions of bad in the Wild West. There's the good bad, which in my opinion is funny because the good bad is actually not Clint Eastwood. He's actually the bad. You know what I mean? It's just that but he but other people will look at it because Clint Eastwood's always the hero. But that's what it is. It's the good bad, the bad, and then there's the ugly bad. And it's obviously it's not just on appearance. I mean, they did that because back then it helps for the senses, for the eyes to make the less attractive guy, the technically physically ugly guy be the ugly, but it's ugly in who he is. Like he's ugly bad. You know what I mean? He's rapist bad. He's like real murder. He stabbed you in the back bad. You know what I mean? He's not like zero honor bad. And that's what's what plays about it with the good, the bad, and the ugly. Is like there really isn't a white hat in that story.
No, there isn't. There is because even Clint Eastwood, he's just there. He's there for his own reason. Like he's there for the same reason that everyone is there. It's the same thing. They're all there for the same thing, which is that I don't want to give it away if no one has seen it. Yeah, but they're there for the same reason. At the end of the day, they're there to do the same thing. They're just taking it different ways of doing it. It's just the different ways of doing it, and that's where the good, the bad, and the ugly comes into. It plays so well into the characters, who they are. I mean, Blondie, God.
Yes.
God.
Incredible.
Jesus. Tuco, it's amazing.
That's a staple. That is the
staple of our Bro, I mean, this movie is amazing. And I love it. Like I said, this is my first memory of a Western when I think of Western, and it's always been my favorite movie of all time. Yeah. And just to throw it out there, because there's another movie out there that's called The Good. I forget the whole movie name, but you know what? We'll get back to that because I'm gonna throw this.
There's plenty. I mean, I'll just rummage through shows real quick. Yeah. Maverick, whatever. It's dated. Bonanza dated. Wild Wild West dated. Deadwood. Yeah. I mean, it's a more recent film, but great. That's a great show, and they're making a movie. HBO actually has a film coming out, I believe, next year of Deadwood, and that's an excellent show. Hell on Wheels. I have not watched it, but I hear nothing but good things about it. I think that's already ended as well on AMC. We talked about Westworld. Kung Fu, I guess, would technically be a Western, but that's it's Kung Fu. It's not
Kung Fu. It's not.
Gunsmoke, Zorro. I mean, on a rerun, maybe a specific episode just to like increase your experience and under your belt of viewership. Hatfield and McCoy is actually Kevin Costner and Bill Paxton. It's a miniseries, but very good. It's like watching a really long Western.
Right.
So I wouldn't call it a film. It is a miniseries, like 8 episodes, but that's definitely something worth watching. If you're not into westerns, and the list, I mean, this is something we could revisit again in the future, bring stuff up. I mean, there's Django, there's The Revenant was great. That's the reason why Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, that one is actually good.
Yeah, you go into classics, but casting the Sundance Kid. That's come on, that's you can't get more classic than that. We talk about True Grit. I heard recently there's one, not that recent, but I'm hearing a lot of pop about it now because I guess it just got to Netflix. Is a Bone Tomahawk with another Kurt Russell one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in my queue and something I'm probably going to watch, especially now that I'm in the mood for Western, talking about Westerns. I hear that one really, really holds up. Okay. So, but there's so many. Blackthorn.
So there's the list is so long, man. It's
and I mean a long list of good Western.
Oh, I'm sure like there's better films than our top 5s for people. Like it's just one of those things.
Yeah.
So we're just giving you what our top 5s is.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there are better films.
Yeah.
Period.
I think when we revisit Westerns, for sure, I know MSK, if he talks Westerns, he's going to go nerdy. Westerns aren't really his thing. I mean, I know for a fact from talking with him, I can on this behalf say Tombstone is up there for him if it's not the only one, for him. Yeah. He's not, the biggest Western guy. And he probably
I'm sure Tombstone will be the number one for him.
Probably. But we can revisit when we have him and maybe have a guest or something like that that's into Westerns so we can get a different take on it, because for sure there's a lot of actual good Westerns. It's a good genre. Most people don't try to. I think we talked about an episode before because I'm just looking over the list. There was that one, the Salvation, which has Matt. Yeah, it has Mads. Our boy Mads from Doctor Strange and Bond.
The Polar.
Yes, he's excellent. He's excellent in that film. It's got Jeffrey D. Morgan, Negan for Walking Dead fans. Yeah. It has, I forget the actress's name now, but she's a great actress from Penny Dreadful. And she's in a lot of stuff now.
That movie is so good. And that movie is such a different take on it. Like I love the story. I love the story of it. Now, it was good.
I bring up Salvation for the same reason that I was talking earlier about Hostiles. That it talks about like the harshness of the world of the Wild West. Yeah. And I'll say one more thing. Gavin, has anybody seen that? Before that, A Necessity on Netflix for sure. I don't know if you finally have gotten to watch it. But before our main necessity, we kind of have like little sprinkles of necessity here. There's one on Netflix, an original called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
No, I have not.
Okay, it's the Coen brothers.
Okay.
So you already know you're going to get some dark stuff. The best part about it is anybody listening right now, watch that because you don't have to watch it all at once. It's 5 mini stories. None of them connect with one another. They're their own separate little tales. And so you can watch one at a time. You don't have to watch the whole film through. So almost treat it like a mini series if you want. They're like, I think 15 minutes a story, but it's excellent. I mean, I found out, I kept seeing this meme with James Franco, like first time, man. Yeah, that's where it comes from. And I don't want to give it away. You have to see why that is so funny of the first time, huh? Like you got to see what it is.
Here's my thing. Here's my thing why it never caught my attention. I'm not because I don't like comedy in Westerns. Obviously, I love comedy in Westerns. I've seen Wild Wild West, which is not a comedy, but it's a comedy. Yeah. The guy that guy that they show all the time with the hat, with the silly hat.
The main character with the big buck.
I guess he's the main character. I guess.
He's Buster Scruggs. He's Buster Scruggs.
That's his name. Yeah. Okay. So that thing, it looked almost like McFarlane, like a McFarlane did this.
It's so badly marketed.
Okay.
It's so much better that it's marketed, and I'm glad you brought that up because you know what, this is the best warning to give people because they're not going to do it. Don't fall for it. I don't know why they're doing it. I think they're doing it to catch you off guard. I didn't do it so because he's the first story, and his story is like, it's awesome. It's so crazy. It's so crazy, and you're like, what? This is actually good. And I think it was the same thing. I was hesitant, and like I said, I think an episode before or 2 episodes ago, I have my barometer of certain things. I have my uncle who can never be pleased. He told me about it. And then my barber, who I talk about with Westerns all the time, he's a big, Westerns fan. he talked about it. So these are two guys, especially when it comes to westerns, that are not very easily pleased. I'm like, I got to see what this is. Like, I don't, they just told me it's dark, and I'm like, dark. I'm like, I'm seeing that guy's goofy face.
Right. It was that. I think it was the hat that did it for me. I'm not even gonna lie to you, bro.
No, it's got and what's funny is they advertise that guy, and they got Liam Nielsen's in it, James Franco's in it. There's a lot of actors in it that you recognize their faces. Like, why are they like promoting with this guy? Like, I don't know why.
It's on purpose.
They do, because I think it's because it's silly. That story's silly, but it's so offbeat, off the wall. I mean, it's so Fargo. If you watch the series Fargo, I mean, it really is. The Coen brothers, like, you just like yeah, you get it, and it's so well done. It's so entertaining. You don't have to watch it all at once. That's our film necessity. But now, the reason we're even having this episode. Yo-Peace, tell
my accent.
Karen, does anybody Karen? I don't know where I can't find it. Oh man, say it. What are we talking about?
We're talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. That's what we're talking about.
Yep. I'm gonna tell you how good that game is. That I only played Red Dead Redemption 1 at Yo-Peace's house once.
Yeah.
And I got it, and I kind of enjoyed it because I'm a big Grand Theft Auto fan. I was like, I guess. And you know what helped? I think for me personally, Westworld. Westworld really helped.
Yeah.
Watching the series Westworld really helped me wanting to Jones that game, because once they talked about an online world, that's, I mean, okay, let's start. It's a necessity, so there might be a lot of people not playing this game. I don't care if you're into Westerns or not. This is a great game. Period. Story-wise,
yes.
Story-wise is incredible. Let me tell you, actually, and I don't mean just the gameplay of the story. The actual Arthur Morgan, which is the main character for most of the game. There's also you get a chance to play as another main character from Red Dead Redemption 1. So if you played the first game, you already know about John Marshall. He's a cool character. There's a lot of cool things about him. But Arthur Morgan is the Clint Eastwood, is the staple good bad guy.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that there is, I mean, that voice actor captured it so well. And when you do, like, I look forward, usually in games, I just want to brush through and just, click X and just move on from the story part of people talking, interacting, so I can get into the shooting and the fighting and the horse riding. And there's so much in this game to do that really lets you get your cowboy on. But the story is the interaction between your main character and other characters, his one-liners. I mean, he has, like we were talking about before we got on the air, this one kid, he's like, you got a lazy eye, boy, or a problem with respect. Like, just like those Tombstone Wyatt Earp, type, one-on-one dialogues are fantastic. And it's like, that's the first thing. So if you're actually a fan of Western films and shows and you like that, you'll enjoy the game just for that. I mean, I have, like, my uncle, he hasn't played it with me, but he sits and watches me, and my stepdad too. They'll watch me play the game when I was doing story mode, and I had a lot of story to go, because they enjoyed that, the main story interaction. Now, side stories are fantastic. There's so many little side stories you can get into, just like the Wild West.
The world is so big and so much to explore.
Big world. You got it all. I mean, if again, you don't have to be a Western fan. It's Western because it takes place in the West, so we're bringing it up, and it is Western story-wise. But actual gameplay, you have so much you can do. You're horse riding, you're feeding your horse, you're changing your appearance, you're robbing trains, you're riding trains, you're hunting animals. So many animals, many different animals.
Feeding horses were what MSK has problems with, by the way.
He has a point. When you play GTA, you don't have to put gas in your car.
Yeah, well, that's because we haven't played the next GTA, which...
Oh, man. I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to bomb. That's going to bomb. If I'm running out of gas in the middle of a police chase...
You better fuel up before you go into that little heist, sir. You better fuel up.
Oh, man, that would be the worst.
That would be amazing. What are you talking about? I would love that.
How are you going to gas up your car in the middle of being wanted by the police?
That would be so amazing. That you just run out of gas and you get caught because you just forgot to put fuel. Oh, God.
When we play that game, MSK, he hasn't played it much, so he'll tell you. That's what kind of, I think he purposely dodged this episode. But he literally rides horses to death.
He'll crash. Crash all the time just because he hates that horse.
It's so funny. But I mean, just you got horse riding, you got horse stealing, and then for the sci-fi guy, and this is what I love about it, and that's where we can get into the West world and the Back to the Futures even, and you have cowboys, you have aliens, you have time travel, you have robots. This is not the main story. So if you don't appreciate that and you're a Western fan and you don't want to get into any of that, you easily avoid it. You don't have to do it at all. You have to do it. But the side stories have so many things, so vampires and monsters and serial killers and rapists and
werewolves, you name it.
Everything. It's just so much. I mean, the world, you have every different climate to work with. You have, winter, so you can get your Hateful Eight on and, go up the mountain, and you have your desert.
You can live on it.
Yeah, you have your wilderness. I mean, they have cannibals, cannibalism posses and tribes. I mean, it's got everything. I mean, it's man, I just can't talk. And then that's what we were saying. But the Gavin, has anybody seen? I think still to this day, it's a mystery.
Yeah,
no one has
a mystery.
Yet to solve it. Yet to solve that.
There's a lot of people. People think who he is, but I don't think anyone has actually solved it, and I don't think they're going to ever tell us who. No.
And I'm saying, I think we joked about this before, that we would say that would be the ultimate cosplay, is dressed as the guy who screams, who's looking for his friend Gavin, and it's like 4 or 5 guys spread out in a con and just screaming out, Gavin, has anybody seen? Because he gets, I mean, I don't know what train he rides, but you literally get from one town to the next, and he's already in the next town screaming it. People have YouTube video where they've seen him like in like the wilderness, like in the snow, screaming for Gavin. Like what? Like how is he getting?
He's everywhere.
So I don't know what the story of Gavin's gonna be, but I mean, this game literally. I mean, you could play poker, you could play
dominoes,
blackjack. What's the one with the knife? Where you try to stab your hand with a knife?
Yeah, nope, I'm not.
You get stabbed a lot, huh? Yeah, you can start bar fights. You can start, and let me tell you now, I mean, right now, and deservedly so, the online right now version, which is actually what got me to get the game, because like GTA, I jumped. I mean, I played it the first time when I had it on PS3, the story mode, but for PS4, I just went straight to the online. I'm not, into the story mode, but because I got Red Dead Redemption 2. Just waiting so I can do the online version of it, get our Westworld on and play with my friends and go out there with friends and just form a posse and rob stagecoaches.
Amazing, right? Sounds amazing.
Yeah, other stuff you can't do. So anyways, but what hooked me was the actual gameplay. I'm like, I was shocked. The story's so good. The side story's so good. The gameplay itself on how you shoot, how you fight, how you ride, how you do everything is excellent. I mean, it is one of the best games ever made.
Right,
hands down. It is for me. It's jumped to my favorite game of all time. It's my favorite game over again right now. Story mode, and right now most games don't have an online mode, so it's easy for me to say that is my favorite game of all time. Not stupid games. When I say stupid games, I mean like Mario World, Tetris, things like that. Those are like quick quick gratification games, but like actual immerse yourself, like when you're talking about Resident Evils and Mortal Kombat, not Mortal Kombat, Metal Gear Solid, games like that. For me, Red Dead Redemption 2 has by far surpassed any of my expectations, and I just enjoy playing it 100% of the time that I'm playing the story mode. Yeah.
Online is very disappointing.
Online's having a lot of problems. A lot.
Very disappointing. And I don't know what's going on, but this is not a beta anymore. I don't care what they say. There's no way this is a beta mode anymore.
No one in the online community is buying the beta title. No. Everyone acknowledges 100% that the beta title for the online version of this game is an excuse to constantly change things.
Yeah.
But it's not beta. And they're cash cowing it, and I think that's the problem with it.
Yeah.
I think
it's a year and a half, right? A year and a half now. Like this is not beta. Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I just remember the film that I was trying to talk to about earlier.
What was it?
But just to throw it really quick, it's called. It's a Korean movie. It's called The Good, the Bad, and the Weird.
Oh, yeah. Wait, is it like a samurai film or is it actually a Western?
It's a Western, but it's a Western. You have to watch it. Trust me, Omega. You have to watch it. It's paying a lot of homage to the original film. But it's not boring at all, and it's very funny, and it's a really great film, and it's a Korean movie. Yep.
Do you know any clue where you can find us, like a Netflix or anything like that?
Well, it used to be up on I want to say Netflix and Hulu at one point, but I right now at this moment I'm not sure where.
Speaking of find things, how about you let the audience know before we sign off where they can find us?
Look at that! Look, you doing my job.
Segue.
All right, so where you can find us, you can listen to us on Fanatically Correct. Just rate us on iTunes, Podbean, specifically there. Those two websites, we need your help on that.
And Google Play.
And well, Google Play doesn't really have a
review
system to review, but definitely iTunes and Podbean. We're also on Google Play. We're on you can use your podcast, any pod or any of your home smart speakers that you have. As far as like Alexa, your Google Home. You can find us at our social medias, which is the @handle of FanCorrect for Twitter and Instagram. You can search for us for Fanatically Correct on Facebook and MeWe, which is the new website that we're at. You can always type fanaticallycorrect.com. That was going to take you back to Podbean. And right now we're actually on Spotify also.
Spotify.
Yeah, which is
pretty much you can find us everywhere now.
Well, almost everywhere. You can find us on Spotify. So if you don't want to download a new app or anything and you got Spotify, you can just type in Fanatically Correct and we'll be there. Our email is always contactfancor@gmail.com, FANCOR. And you can always use that phone and give us a phone call. Please give us a phone call. Tell us what you think about this show. If you don't want your voice on to be displayed on our show or whatever, we'll give you a shout out. Whatever it is, we'll help you out. You help us, we'll help you.
Or you can disguise your voice and do your burst Western impersonation when you drop a message for us.
Yeah, or let us know how terrible of our list. Top 5 list is.
How we know absolutely nothing about Westerns. Even though
whatever it is, the phone number is 786-704-8404. And if you're calling from another country, just make sure you know if they're gonna charge you, because we're not really gonna be responsible for that. I'm letting you know right now. That's not our fault. That's area code 786-704-8404, and that's in the United States.
Booyah. And remember, Nerdcessities, you got to do it. Battle of Buster Scruggs and Red Dead Redemption 2 for sure. Couple of classics. Our 2 number ones were Unforgiven, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. If you haven't seen either one of those, you don't know nothing about Westerns, not even as much not even the little bit that we know. So that's right there. So this is Two Guns Omega. Saying peace, partner.
Yo, peace. Peter.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.
Gav! Where are you? Where are you?